I can't believe what Hillary Clinton said. This woman has some nerves. Do you know she had the nerve to say that Donald Trump should have been impeached and he should have been indicted? Hillary Clinton said this. Now, this is a woman that so far has gotten away with Benghazi. I mean, we still don't know the story behind it. In fact, they played a clip on Twitter where she, when she was on being, went before Congress and she was laughing about Benghazi. She was laughing about that. She got off so far. She's gotten away with that. She's gotten away with the email scandal. And she has she is the one that actually colluded with Russia. She sold our Uranium One to Russia, and then her husband got a $500,000 bonus pay for a speech. Now, it's nothing anybody has to say that deserved $500,000, but soon, this is while she was Secretary of State. She got this deal. She sold off 20% of our Uranium One to Russia, and then her husband did a speech, and he got $500,000, and then all this money was going to the Clinton Foundation. But she's, this is why Attorney General Barr has to do something. We cannot allow this woman to keep walking around free and giving her opinion, saying that President Trump, who has committed no crimes, I mean, there's no president in history that has been vetted as much as President Trump. He's been vetted. He has a complete anal exam. He's had all of that. And he still comes up clean. Yet still, she had the nerve to say that. I'm like, what in the world? How do these people get nerves like this to sit up and say? I'd be embarrassed. I wouldn't be saying anything. So we got that. And then we had, I guess, a town hall or whatever it was last night with some of the Democrat people running for president. And we have Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris both saying they want criminals that's still in prison, okay, to vote. Now listen, they're not talking about people that have been released from prison, and they may still be felons, but they've been released. They're saying people behind bars should vote. So we got that going on. What else is going on? I mean, it's something all the time. And so, when we say, how have we gotten like this? Because, I'm just perplexed because I'm saying, how did the American people get to the point where they don't know how to think, they don't believe anything without questioning it, no matter how ridiculous it sounds, they'll just say, yep, and they will repeat it. You should read some of the comments on Twitter by these Democrat trolls. They must be paying these people because nobody can be this dumb. They're saying that the Mueller report says, now I've seen the report, people have been reporting on the report, but these people are repeating what they've been told. They're saying that the Mueller report didn't clear Trump. It said that he was still guilty. They're saying that in the Mueller report, it said that President Trump lied repeatedly, and he lied repeatedly, and he deceived the American people. I haven't seen anybody say that they said that in the Mueller report. But that's what these people are repeating because that's what they've heard. So I guess on the media, someone is saying that. And I'm saying, please show me in the Mueller report where you're getting this stuff. Because I haven't seen all this. So we have that. So we have people that cannot think. And I said, well, how did we get here? Well, this is how we got here. Because I started thinking we should look no farther than the universities, the American universities. That's how people got there. Because, listen, no one is teaching kids how to think. They're not teaching critical thinking skills. In fact, the instructors are completely nuts themselves. Okay, now a lot of you may be around my age or older, so you're saying, okay, when you were in college, maybe some of the professors had some sense. They were, normal thinking people. They weren't like whack jobs. But see, I went back to school in my early 30s for undergraduate, and then I went back in my early 40s for my graduate degree. So I went back as a grown woman with life experiences, and I experienced the nuts and as professors. I was completely shocked at some of the things these people, and these people were professors with PhDs, and at the time they were in their 50s and 60s. And they were saying some of the most ridiculous stuff I ever heard in my life. But the sad part about all of it was this. I would challenge them and shut them down every night. Me. Sometimes it would be just me against them. Sometimes it would be me against the whole class and the instructor. And I would still win. And the reason I would win is because I would just use facts and logic, and they couldn't answer it. Matter of fact, I would be disappointed, really, because I'm thinking, you've been saying all this crazy stuff all these years, and you don't have an answer. You can't back any of it up. Well, the reason they can't back any of it up is because the people they have been telling it to were 18, 19, 20-year-olds who have no life experience. So they can just tell them anything, and they don't say, well, and they just swallow it. But some of the things they were saying, I'm like, you ought to be ashamed. Who's that dumb? I'm going to give you an example. Now, in undergraduate, I went back to school, and this is funny. You're going to think this is hilarious. But I was so tired of people being nuts, I decided I was going to be a psychologist. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of all these crazy people. I'm going to fix everybody. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll become a psychologist and be a therapist, not a psychiatrist, not dealing with the mentally insane. I'm talking about just the normal people walking around with mental defects. I figure I can fix people. I can do it. I'm going to be a psychologist. So I went and I got my undergraduate in psychology. But the problem was I was too logical for the profession, because all of my instructors, I have to give them credit. Because I went to school at night. I was still in the military. So I was a grown adult going to school every night. So my professors, the majority of them were practicing psychologists. They had their own practices, and they was adjunct, part-time professors. But I tell you what, they brought a lot to the classroom because they brought their experiences with them. So class was very interesting. I mean, it caused you to do a lot of thinking because they had more than just classroom knowledge. Like most professors that are in class all day long, that's all they do is teach. These people brought their experiences to the classroom, and they all had their own practices. But yet and still, I quickly clashed with every one of my psychology professors, every one of them. And they all told me, every one of them told me that I would not make it in the field of psychology. And in my senior year, I agreed with them. So right before I graduated, I agreed with them, because in order to be a psychologist, you cannot be logical. Some of the things that I was supposed to accept, buy into, that I just couldn't do. And I told him, this doesn't make sense, and I would argue. So what the problem was, you were supposed to buy into the fact that people could not help themselves, that their life was, it was fate. They call it determinism, which means that when you're born, your life is already set what's going to happen. There's nothing you can do to change it. So therefore, when you go and murder someone, it's the psychologist's job to go and sit on the stand, on the witness stand, and tell everybody that, hey, you were abused when you were a child, your mother did this to you, so you had no choice in all this. And so I didn't agree with any of that. And so, of course, I would clash every night. It would be different ones. I had female and male psychology instructors, and they all told me, you're too hard on. But see, the thing is, because I was too hard on people. They said I was trying to hold people accountable for what they didn't have, which was the ability to choose. I don't believe that. Now, listen, we're not talking about the mentally insane, sick people. Psychiatrists, they have to go to medical school and prescribe medication. Now, this is just a therapist. So we argued about stupid stuff. But in some of those classes, it was some ridiculous stuff. And I was just like, this doesn't make sense. And then they said, well, my problem was I was too logical, because I said, okay, I'm going to fix people. I said, someone comes to me, I'm not going to waste their time. You shouldn't waste 20 years of your life, your God-given life. You only have one life with one problem, still talking about it, coming to see me every week for 20 years about something. You may not can help what happened to you, but my job was to get you through it, so you won't waste the only life that you have. I care for people. But you know what my psychologist professors told me? They're like, you're not going to make any money like that. They said, once you go to graduate school and get your license, You could start out making over $100 an hour. Why would you want to fix people really quick so that then you'd miss out? You want them to keep coming. I said, no, I don't want them to keep coming. I don't have the patience to hear something over and over and over again. So I clashed with them. But they would say stuff that was ridiculous. But this is when I went to graduate school. This is when I really run into some crazy people. Now, I have an MBA in business, but I have a minor in organizational leadership. And the reason I had to get that is because I had just retired from the military, and I was first time working with civilians. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I never knew that civilians were so weak. So the way I would talk to people, it would just be normal talk to me, but they would all get afraid of me. Even my supervisors said, the way you talk to people. And I would just be direct. Because in the military, you're direct. Do this, do that. You're just straight to the point. But that scared people. And I didn't understand that. And I had some of my suppliers that I'd have to go see. I would talk to them over the phone, and they would be afraid of me, which I didn't understand why they were so afraid. But everybody was afraid. So I said, well, maybe I don't know how to deal with civilians, because all I do is I just say do this, do that. Any kind of straight talk upset people. So I had to take a lot of so-called leadership classes, what they call leadership. I've been a leader for 20 years in the military. I started off as a private E3, leading people. So I've had people under me in my entire life. So I know how to be a leader. But as a civilian leader, you have to be soft, and you have to massage people, and you have to be kind, don't hurt their feelings, and people that work for you. So in my a lot of my human resource classes and my leadership classes, they used to say, your job is to motivate your employees to do their jobs. And so I would say the paycheck should be the motivation. What do you mean motivate somebody to do the job that they applied for, interviewed for, and accepted? But in order to get them to do the job, we were supposed to be able to somehow motivate them to do it. So that's why I had to end up taking the class. But listen, these are some of the things instructors said. In the leadership classes, some of my instructors said stuff like this. Rich people like Bill Gates and what's that other guy? I can't even think of his name. That other rich guy who they give a lot of money, they donate a lot of money in buildings and stuff. But they said they had a right to do it. They had to do it because they owed us. And I said, well, how did they owe us? They said, well, we allowed them to make the money, therefore they owe that stuff to us. And so they had to be. I said, no, they just donated it because they wanted to. They don't owe us anything. So they said, well, but don't you have a laptop? Don't you have a computer with Microsoft on it? I said, yeah, I have one with on it. Well, then he still owes you. I said, no, that was a one-time transaction. One time. I paid for the computer. He got the money. That's it. He doesn't still owe me. But they said, yeah, but the highways and the streets and all, they couldn't have made that money without us. And so this is the stuff they say. Another thing is, in one of my leadership classes, you remember what happened with Jim Jones, how he convinced the cult leader, Jim Jones, how he convinced all those people to sell everything they had, and they had to go and went to the jungle in Guyana or whatever and then drank the Kool-Aid. Well, one of my instructors said that was our fault, society's fault. Because she said if those people felt that they had nothing else, the only choice was to follow him to the jungle, then that meant we as society let them down. And I said, well, how? How does that, what do we have to do with grown people deciding the goals that we didn't have? Well, we should have provided, because they believe in all this utopia stuff that don't work. And I would say, listen, to my instructor, I would say, listen, there's no such thing as a utopia. Okay, you have to work and earn what you make, the decisions you make in life. I'm talking about mentally stable people. I'm not talking about handicapped people. I said decisions you make in life are your fault. But they would push all of that utopia stuff, socialism stuff that doesn't work. And here I am with life experiences letting them know that doesn't work. But what the sad part about it, they never had an answer. They never had a comeback. Whenever I would say stuff like that, they would just stand there. The instructors would just stand there. And I'm thinking, well, no wonder everybody's like this. Because you don't have anything to come back with. Surely you have something else. They never did. So some of those things are why I feel like we're where we are now. Some of the things that the professors, some of them were nuts. I'm talking about these are people that didn't have common sense, and they were teaching kids. They were teaching grown people too, but I had sense enough to say this doesn't make sense, and they never had a comeback. They never did. Never. So when I say how did we get here, it's the education system. It is. And unless you can find a good school like, what is it, Hillsdale, that's one where they teach the Constitution. I mean, somewhere where people are teaching people how to think and use common sense. Because these instructors got these kids, like all this socialism stuff. During the 2016 election, and Bernie Sanders was talking all this socialist stuff, a college student got on I think it was Fox News. I forgot who was interviewing her. She was talking about free this, free that, free. I want everything free. And when they asked her, well, who's gonna pay for it? She didn't have an answer. She didn't even know that taxpayers pay for it. They don't know that. This is a college student being fed all this stuff about socialism, and they're not telling them, look, somebody's got to pay. When you asked that, she had no answer. She was just standing there. Well, pay for it. Is it gonna fall out of the sky? Where's the money coming from? That's why we're in the condition we're in right now. The schools are not teaching anything. They're talking about a free education. It might as well be free because they're not learning anything. They're not learning anything in these universities. So we got Hillary Clinton. She's running around like she hasn't committed a crime. We got all these political candidates saying they're gonna give everything away. Kamala Harris, Beto, Bernie Sanders, everybody lining up. Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, all of them talking about free, free, free. And then they think, okay, we're going to get the young vote. They're going to get saying that. And they know good and well that's not going to work. They're not going to be able to come through with all that. So this is where we are in this country. Nobody knows how to think. We don't have any educators. All of that's over with. And all we can do, if you have children, is try to get them in the best school or some kind of private school, somewhere where, and teach them in the home how to think. But I've heard a lot of conservative parents say, no, all the teaching that they did, their kids went off to college and came back and they didn't even recognize them because they had been indoctrinated so. So I don't know what the answer is. I have no idea. And then we have all these people still saying that the Mueller report, that you should read the stuff people are putting on Twitter. And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Can you read? Can you comprehend? The report didn't say that. But they were just saying the report saying this, and it said that, and it said this. And then they all said, okay, so President Trump said he's not giving up showing his tax returns. And he also sued, Elijah Cummings. They're trying to force all his accountants and everybody that does business with him to, trying to, make them turn in all the documents. So he sued them. But I don't blame President Trump. Because why do they need that? This has nothing to do with the presidency, all his business contacts. So he sued them back. Well, so he's not turning over his taxes, they say. Somebody commented, well, he should be locked up and put in jail. You can't lock up somebody and put them in jail because they won't show you their taxes. But these are grown people because they heard somebody say it on in the media, and that's it. That's it. That's it, people. Another day in America, another day dealing with the fake news media, another day dealing with liberal trolls. Have a blessed day.